Hello and welcome, and thank you all so much for joining us on this afternoon. I am very excited to be here with you again. So, welcome back to the SOS 20-Week Live Challenge. I am Dr. Lori Smith. I'm a former federal contracting officer and the CEO of Act Elegant LLC and the founder of SONRC's Empowerment Ltd. And every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we are here, one topic, one teaching moment, and one shift that can change how your business operate. So if you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. I've spent over 40 years on the other side of the table, managing more than 143 billion in federal contracts, evaluating businesses, scoring proposal, watching who wins and why, providing advice to over 11,000 contractors. And this challenge takes everything I've learned and puts it directly in your hands. So again, I want to welcome you all back to week 6. And before I begin or get into the topics, you already know what I'm going to do, and that's stay abreast of the policy changes that are occurring. Because I will say this every single week, as long as the regulatory environment keeps moving like this, the contractors who win in this season are not, the most talented ones. They are the ones who are the most informed. So here's what shifted in the 7 days since I last saw you. First, Senate Bill 4390 update, the Ending Discrimination in Government Contracting Act. The bill we walked through last week. It is still in the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. There is no committee vote yet. The House companion is also sitting, but on Monday this week, Morrison Foerster, which is one of the most respected government contracts firms in the country, published a full analysis of the bill, calling it a shot across the bow. Now, that tells me two things. The legal community is taking this seriously, and you should too. Your 8A and woman-owned small business statuses are still valid today, but the legal community is now writing client memos about what happens if this passes. That is the temperature of the room. So the second thing is FAR 52-222-90 is now enforceable with teeth. So effective April the 24th, that clause applies to every new contract and subcontract over the $15,000 micro purchase threshold performed in the United States. And here is the part you need to hear. FAR Part 9 has been revised to make non-compliance with 52-222-90 grounds for suspension or debarment. So if you refuse the bilateral modification on your existing contracts, the agency can terminate you for convenience. That deadline for existing contract modification is July the 24th, and that is just 72 days from today. So get someone reading these clauses before you sign anything. Number 3, and this one connects directly to today's topic, the SBA has a capital shortfall RFI open right now. They are specifically asking small businesses about gaps where you have a demonstrated operating history but cannot reach a near-term milestone because of a capital shortfall. Now, the comment deadline is May 18th. That's just 5 days from today. So if inconsistent revenue and capital gaps are real in your business, your voice belongs in that record. And so I'm going to put the link in the comments after I do this live, okay? The fourth thing is the 8A program reality on the ground. Between December and March, SBA suspended over 1,000 8A firms. They initiated termination proceedings against 154 DC-based firms for exceeding economic disadvantage thresholds and moved to terminate another 628 firms for refusing to comply with the financial data call. And on top of that, the once 8A, always 8A rule, the one that used to keep your follow-on contracts, inside the 8A program, it has been weakened, whereas in contracting officers can now release follow-on requirements to Hub Zone, service disabled veteran owned small businesses, or woman owned small businesses without SBA approval. And so, what that means in plain language is if you are an 8A incumbent, you cannot assume your recompete stays in 8A anymore. So, your revenue base just got more uncertain. And that is exactly why we need to have today's conversation. So I want you to type one in the comments if you are an 8A incumbent with a recompete coming in the next 12 months. And I want to see how many of you are sitting on this risk right now. So, okay, so that is your pulse check. So now let's get into what we're going to talk about for week 6, because everything I just told you makes today's topic urgent in a way it would not have been, a year ago. So I want to ask you a question, and I want you to be honest. Can you predict right now what your revenue will be 3 months from today? Not guess, not hope, actually predict with some reasonable confidence based on, something in your business. If the answer is no, your business is running on luck, and luck is not a business model. Luck is definitely not a business model in a year when 1,091 firms in your program just got suspended and the rule that protected your follow-ons just got weakened. So inconsistent revenue is one of the most demoralizing things in entrepreneurship. So because you can have a great month, feel like you finally figured it out, and then the next month is half that for no apparent reason. So that roller coaster will wear you down faster than almost anything will, right? So, and in this environment, it also can wear your business out of existence. So let's talk about why it actually happens and what to do about it. Now, the real problem is most revenue in inconsistency doesn't come from a bad market or unlucky timing. It comes from a structural problem. Your business does not have a consistent pipeline. And here's what I mean. So in government contracting, we knew actually how to forecast because, the procurement cycle was actually structured. There were opportunity pipelines. We had source selection timelines. We had award projections. So you could actually map 12 months out, with a reasonable confidence. But your businesses needs the same thing. But instead, most small businesses actually operate on what I call a feast and famine by accident. You market when you're slow. You stop marketing, when you're busy. You close clients in bursts, and then you have a gap because you ignore business development during delivery. And here is the new wrinkle. If your entire revenue picture depends on one or two 8A or woman-owned small business set-aside contracts, you don't even have a pipeline problem. You actually have a concentration problem, and it's dressed up as a pipeline problem. Because under the new Part 19 rules, those contracts are no longer guaranteed to stay where you can win them. So one of the things I want you to do is type feast or famine if you've experienced the cycle, big months followed by slow months, with no clear reason why. And type concentrated if you have more than 70% of your revenue comes from one or two contracts, because that is really truthfully a very big issue. Because revenue consistency is a lagging indicator of pipeline discipline. So what you earn this month is the result of activity and systems you actually put in place 60, 90, or even 120 days ago. And so if you're having an inconsistent month right now, the problem started months ago, which means the fix is not in this week's emergency marketing push. The fix is in building a system that works continuously, in the background. And that is what we have to get accustomed to doing, building a system. And in this regulatory environment, that system has to be extended beyond just marketing more. It has to include diversifying your set aside posture, building commercial revenue, and then creating recurring streams that don't depend on a single contract vehicle, or a single customer. And so here are three ways to start building revenue consistency. It's updated for the world we're actually operating in right now. First, I want you to create a weekly business development ritual, non negotiable, even when you're busy. I want the number one cause of revenue gaps is that business development stops when delivery ramps up. Well, you cannot afford this. Even if it's 30 minutes a day, prospecting, following up on quotes, and reaching out to past clients, nurturing warm relationships, scanning sam.gov for opportunities outside of your current set aside category. It has to happen every week, regardless of how busy you are. And put it on your calendar like it's a standing meeting. You have to do this. That cannot be moved. Don't move the meeting. And in this season, your BD time needs to include scanning HubZone, service disabled veteran owned small business, and opportunities that may now be available to you under the new FAR Part 19, even if you historically have been an 8A shopper, right? The second thing I want you to do is build a simple pipeline tracker and review weekly. I don't care how simple it is. It can be a spreadsheet. What matters is that you know how many active prospects are in your pipeline, what stage they're in, what the projected close date is, and what the expected revenue value is. If you look at that tracker and it's empty or stale, that is a 3-month warning signal that a revenue gap is coming. You got to treat it like it's a vital sign. And one more thing, add a column for a set aside category so that you can see at a glance, whether your pipeline is consecrated in one program or, spread across several. If everything is in your pipeline says 8A, again, you have just identified, your single biggest business risk at this moment. And the third thing is I want you to introduce retainer or recurring revenue wherever possible, including commercial revenue. Project-based revenue will always create peaks and valleys. And so the antidote is recurring revenue, monthly, retainers, subscription services, ongoing support contracts, membership programs. Even if it's just 30% of your revenue, even if just 30% of your revenue is recurring, what it does, it creates a floor that takes the panic out of the slow months. And here's the strategic move for this year. Build commercial revenue alongside your federal revenue, because commercial clients are not affected by FAR Part 52 222-90, are not affected by the Bill 4390, and they're not affected by the 8A program changes. So a diversified revenue base is also a regulatory resilient revenue base. And what do your clients need on a regular basis that you could structure as a recurring engagement? So I want you to drop in the comments, do you have any recurring revenue right now? Yes or no? And if no, what's one service you offer that could become a retainer? Revenue strategy, how to structure the pipeline, the diversification is exactly the kind of work we build out together in SOS community and at the conversions, because you shouldn't be guessing month to month. You should be building. And in a season where the rules are underneath your revenue base or actively shifting, man, we cannot afford to just build alone. We need friends, right? So I want you to drop revenue in the comments, and let's get you into that room. And I want you to drop brief if you want the weekly regulatory update. We are tracking Senate Bill 4390, FAR 52 222-90, and the 8A suspensions and every committee actions, so you don't have to. So you don't have a revenue problem, you have a pipeline problem, and you may have a consequence problem as well. And both are absolutely fixable. but only if you start now while the systems and the rules are still settling. So we are 6 weeks in. We're 6 weeks in on this challenge. The patterns are actually becoming clear. The contractors who use this season to restructure will come out of it stronger than you went in it. And so the ones who wait will not. So I'll see you next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Stay informed. Stay ready, and please keep building. I cannot emphasize that enough. We got this. We can flip this thing around. Do not count this lag time as the end of it all. Let's get rooted, let's settle down, and let's build these structures and these systems that we need in place in order to facilitate our continued progression, towards our endeavors and goals. So again, happy weekend. Prayerfully, everyone had a happy Mother's Day. I did absolutely nothing. And so I'm very excited for everything that's happening. I'm still working at the chumps on a lot of things, and I have some news. I'll probably brief next week, so I have to decide and see. But thank you again for dropping in and joining us, and I'll see you next week. Have a wonderful day.